Hello and welcome to today's webinar. The Council for Professional Recognition is pleased to present Seeing Children, Caring with the Child in Mind, presented by Shannon Carr. I'm Shonda Walden.
And I'm Larissa Norris. This can help you earn your in-service hour for professional development. However, keep in mind that this in-service hour does not count towards earning a CDA or renewing a CDA. There are also handouts available that are supplements to today's webinar. If you're on a computer, then the way you find these handouts is that you'll look at the right-hand side of your screen, and about 4 icons down, there's a little image that looks like a piece of paper. That's where the handouts live. If you click on that, then they will come up with all the different handouts that you will be able to download. If you're on your phone instead, that same icon will be located at the bottom of your screen, but you will also be able to download those from there. And we'd love to tell you a little bit more about our presenter today. Shannon's 25 years in the field includes work in the foster care system, parents as teachers, college-level teaching, and several ECE programs and training organizations. She's coached more than 100 ECE programs, facilitates social justice groups, and is the owner of RISE, which you can find out more about at risechild.com. RISE focuses on respectful care for infants and toddlers. And now welcome, Shannon Carr. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you with us. And I'm going to just get you the controls to the panel here so that you can start sharing your screen. And let's see.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. There you go.
All right. Yay. Thank you, Larissa and Chandra. Well, I just want to say hello to everyone. Thank you all for coming on today. I'm so excited to share with you this work about seeing children. It means so much to me, and it's something that I've been working on for a while. I feel when we see children that we make a difference in how they see themselves. Children who are seen are more likely to feel important, valued, and feel more capable of taking risk. I feel like we're building resilient children when we're caring for this way. So today I'd like to talk to you about a few ways that we can support you, or I can support you in seeing children in your home or in your classroom. But I'd like to start out with talking a little bit about connection, as well as talking a little bit about the research that's out there. So when you think about connection, I want you to think about an action that maybe leads to a connection with another person. So this may be eye contact. This may be sharing something that's vulnerable about yourself. So if you could, if you could name, if there's a way for you to chat, you may have to help me out, Larissa, to name one action that leads to connection with another person. What are other ways that you connect to others other than eye contact or sharing something vulnerable? What's another way? What's another either physical action or emotional action that you can connect with another person?
Okay, so we've got smiles, hugging, facial expressions. Somebody said touch. So a lot of hugging is happening here.
We really want to hug right now, I think.
Yes, we do. I think we're deprived of that right now.
Yes.
Eye contact, waving. Yeah, a lot of people are wanting some hugs right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. So this is wonderful. Yeah, so many different ways that we can connect with another person. I think you guys got most of them. So I'm going to share you a list of some of those ways that you mentioned and some others that you might not have thought of. So when we think about connection, and you can see connection even in this picture here, they are leaning forward a little, making eye contact. The one is it's connected so much she's gone from laughing to crying. So some great connection here, and I love these two ladies. So yeah, you guys mentioned eye contact, facial expression, emotionally maybe feeling heard. Like if you said something and you're feeling heard about what you just said. You mentioned hand holding, a hug. I should have put that in like capital letters, right? We're not being able to get those so much right now. Leaving space for others to talk, right? Not talking when someone else is talking. Sometimes that's hard to do. Waiting, right? That pause, listening without fixing, trusting, and then, just respecting someone else's point of view, whether it's like yours or not like yours. And then I want you to think about what it feels like when you feel connected. And let me know if it's similar to this list. So when I feel connection, we may feel. So I'm hoping that what comes up for you in your mind, you don't have to type it in the box. It's okay if you do. I'm hoping that you feel these following things. So that you feel heard, seen, valued, willing to be more vulnerable, right? If someone tells you their story, you're usually more willing to tell yours. In this picture here, these boys have conjured up a plan. The one has leaned his bucket forward, allowing the other to take from it. So this was a space where he felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable. When connection occurs, we're more likely to feel more comfortable on our own skin. We are relaxed enough to carry on meaningful, valuable conversation. We also feel generally better about ourselves and just the relationship that's right there in front of us. And then last, we may be more willing to solve problems with one another, which means there's that give and take. Now I want to look a little bit about the research, and then we'll dive into what we're talking more about today. So this is what we know. This is some older research, but this is so true even more still today. What the research is saying right now is that we have a problem. Children's voices are not at the core of their learning. Children are doing things because they're getting things. For example, children may be getting M&Ms when they sit on the toilet and go potty, or they may be getting dessert after they eat their own meal, or a toy for being, quote, good. And these are extrinsic motivations. So they're doing things to, for example, get things, right? But it's not really coming from within. For example, were they hungry when they ate that M&M? Were they hungry when they got that dessert? So the importance of bringing it back to how are we feeling within ourselves. If we do think something that has value, do we need to be rewarded for it because we were good, or can it just feel good? So what the research is saying is that there has been an increase in depression and anxiety, and also an increase in that external motivation. It's also saying that there's been a decrease in internal motivation, doing it just because it feels good, and also a decrease in play, play is so important, we know, for so many reasons. It allows us to express ourselves and figure things out in the world. Children are also learning that their voices do not matter, and what matters is the teacher's voice, the teacher's choices and opinions. And I'm not saying this is happening in every home, in every classroom. I know there's a lot of wonderful things out there, but there's also still some work to be done. And I know that these things are not things that we want, it's not the message we want to send our children in future generations. I believe that we want children's voices to be heard. It's not like one day, children listen to the adults and one day it switches, right? Children have to learn how to use their voice from infancy. in order to know how to use their voice. So today I'd like to talk about ways that we can give children voice, and that connection that you mentioned was so important, right? You mentioned that hug and so many other things. And also because, like I said, connection is connected to so much more. So today we're going to start by talking a little bit about connection during play. There's beneficial times to connect during play, and there's times during play when children need to focus on what's in front of them, which is that play. We're going to look at the dance that happens during caring routines such as feeding, but primarily diapering we're going to look at today. And then we're going to also look at ways to bring this work back, to be able to support, if you're an administrator, teachers in your classroom, or your co-teachers, if you're co-parenting, that co-parent. So ways to bring this work back, to be able to help others see children differently. So I'd like to start off by showing you a video of, this is Hudson and Grace playing. When you watch this video, I want you to look for the connection. This video was taken, and I do parent-infant classes that are inspired by a woman named Magda Gerber, by her work with RIE and the Educaring approach. And in these classes, the adults in the room sit back and observe for quite a long while the children are at play, actually the majority of the class. And so you won't see any adults in this video, but you will see Hudson and Grace. And so I want you to take note at the times when connection happens, or when connection is looked for. Okay, you may not be able to hear any sound on this video, and that is okay. Or maybe you will. Okay. Having some technical difficulties over here. Hope you guys can still hear me.
We can.
Okay. Not sure what's going on. Trying to fix it real quick here. Okay. Just wanted to find out from you guys, what did you see? What connections did you see during the video? Wondering if you guys were.
Let's see. 3 to 5 eye contact gestures, connections with a smile, sharing. Somebody says, what a great video to represent the confidence of young children to cooperate and grow in their play.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Problem solving. And lots of eye contact, people have said.
Yeah, lots of eye contact. Yeah, so you saw Hudson making lots of eye contact with the adults in the room. But that's all he needed. He didn't need an adult to come over. He didn't need an adult to fix anything. He really did his own problem solving during his play. And when he couldn't solve any more problems, he chose to do something else. So sometimes the problem isn't solved in one act of play, right? It may take multiple opportunities to solve a problem. The one problem that he walked away from was when the ramp moved away from the platform. Didn't seem, not sure, just curious about whether he was comfortable or not being going across on that ramp, because the space was getting larger, which was hard to see, I know, from that video. You're right, there was also problem solving, right? Trying to solve their own problems. And Grace seemed to notice that Hudson was in need of some vehicles and offered those up to him, which I thought was beautiful. She even at one point, we didn't see her lay down her doll, but she, and you don't realize how attached she is to that doll, but she laid down the doll to even come over to work with Hudson in this play. So lots and lots of opportunities for connection, and really no adults were needed during this. So we often find when adults are on the side doing observation, that we learn so much more about the confidence children have within themselves, and learn the importance of being with on the side, but we don't have to be with during play. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that connection during play and about that observation piece too, because I think that's so important. So here you see a picture of connection during play. This is a mom and a child, actually their first opportunity, first class, first session in a parent-infant group. And this parent was facilitated by myself to take the little people that her daughter offered her, but to not engage in the storyline that was in the child's head at this moment, right? So it's important that the child leads the play. So here's some benefits that I find when we sit back during play that are all listed here. So we see what the child is capable of. Parents often begin to slow down because they realize the pace of the child and the importance of slowing down. They learn how to plan their day with the child in mind. They begin role modeling trust. For example, I had in one of my classes, for the older infants or toddlers, we offer a snack time. And often after snack, the children are asked to put away their cup and use a washcloth and put that away as well, and then go off to play. In this particular class, the child walked away before doing those items, and I asked him to take care of those tasks. And you could feel in the room, the parent was concerned that this task is not going to happen. She wasn't completely trusting that the child was going to do this. And it's really important that we give off that sense of trust that a child is going to follow through on a task in hand. In this case, after coaching that parent, she did begin to trust what the child was going to do, and he did it. Children can feel and sense these things. Children are also able to build confidence, or more confidence during play when we're not so much involved. Because they get to solve their own problems. They get to come up with their own storyline, and their storyline is enough. It doesn't have to be our storyline. They solve more problems. The Magda Gerber, who's the founder of RIE, talked about that the lesson is in the struggle. That's what we learn from. So allowing children to take healthy risk, to struggle and to solve their own problems, even if the problem doesn't get solved in that very day. I talked about letting the child lead the play, but also I find that when children are involved in their own play, which includes their own climbing up, climbing down, making sure that safety is in place, there's actually can be a decrease in injuries because the child has gotten to know their body. It's gotten to know what their body can do. So these are all, I feel, great benefits of sitting back and allowing the child to be at play, whether it's in your classroom or a safe space in your home. I think that safety, of course, is key there as well. There is times, though, that we do need to engage in play. One is when a child invites us. So if a child is inviting us into play, it doesn't mean we can't go, but we still want the child to lead the narrative. We still want to be emotionally available for children. Another is safety. So in this picture here, I came close in this parent-infant class. Because I wanted to make sure both children were safe. make sure that there wasn't hitting or biting that was going to happen. It's also important to, observe and get to know your children as well. So, so my goal is to interrupt play the least, right? To just be there. If a child were to reach out to hit another child, my arm is simply going to go up to stop the hit. But it doesn't need to be much more than that. And then during caregiving times, which I want to talk to you more about, caregiving times would be sleep or feeding or diapering. And I'd like to talk to you more about that next. Caring routines. Magda Gerber says that we need to encourage even the tiniest infant to be an active participant, rather than a passive recipient of the activity. So this activity could be diapering, it could be feeding, but it also could be in play. Today we're going to talk about caring. We ask that all children take an active role in their own caring, in their own self-care, in their own body. So how we care. I don't know if you have thought about the hands so much, but caring has always started with the hands. It's the first relationship children have with the world from the moment they're born. So hands are there to catch them as they are born, or however that experience happened for the child. The hands give us messages. So thinking about if our hands, when we're caring for children, are calm hands, are they slow hands, or are they fast hands or rough hands? Are we trying to get those diapers done quickly so we can get to the next task? Are we trying to pull the child out the door? Are we picking up a child rather quickly so we can get the task, at hand started? So I feel like these hands give messages, and I wonder what messages children get through our hands and how that impacts the child and how they feel about themselves, but also how they feel about the world that they're entering into. So when we talk about caregiving activities, one caregiving activity I want to focus on today is diapering. So I wonder if you all know about how many diapers, diaper changes a child has in their lives. You guys want to throw out some numbers?
Let's see. Anybody want to guess?
No guesses, huh? Just a lot.
Oh, somebody said 1,000. A lot of people are saying 1,000.
1,000?
Somebody said too many.
Too many. A lot, right?
Yes.
It happens so much. So on average, I'm sure some is less and some is more, but on average, there are about 7,000 diaper changes that happen in a child's life. It's a lot of diaper changes. And I feel if something is happening to us 7,000 times, that's going to have an impact. I would think you all would agree. Diaper changes impact how we feel about our body. How is it being handled? So, for example, a diaper change that I may have seen in the past might be, and I did this too, is years ago in early childhood in the classroom, I put a child up on a diaper changing table. I'd say, here, take this toy. I'm gonna change your diaper. But really, I feel like the message I'm sending is, here, you do this. I'm going to handle these private parts of your body. You don't have to be engaged in that. And I don't know what that's the message that I really wanted to send. children need to be an active part of their diaper changes. So whether that's from holding the diaper, from pulling off the diaper tabs of the diaper that needs to be changed, to helping press the tabs of the fresh diaper that's being put on. They may be lifting their legs. They're making eye contact with you through this diaper change, and you're walking them through what's happening next before it happens, not after. It also includes making eye contact with the child before you pick them up off the floor. Whenever we're picking up a child where there's a loss of balance, so one of the first things I recommend doing when we lay a baby down on a table to change the diaper is simply lay your hand on their chest. Usually their heart is beating a little faster because of that kind of swoop up from the ground, if that's where they were. So starting that connection off with just placing the hand on the chest and making eye contact and starting that one-on-one time together. Diaper changes can be a great opportunity for one-on-one time. It does take a little teamwork if you're in the classroom with someone else, or you're in the classroom by yourself, or in the home by yourself, or with a lot of children. So, but it can happen. It's really just the process. And knowing that during diaper changes, we're handling a really private and special part of a child's body. So that in itself should be a reason to involve a child in their own care in whatever way is possible, depending on their age and stage in development. I also think the way we diaper sends a message about how others should care for them. So the care we give to young children plays a part in how they feel about themselves as an adult as well. So it's a really crucial time in helping a child realize and feel that they have value and they have a say in how their care is done to their body. Task still needs to be done, but can be done thoughtfully. Another quote I wanted to share with you. Magda Gerber again talks about these caregiving times and the benefits of slowing down and being what she calls refueled. So this quote here says, refueled by such unhurried, pleasurable caring experiences, those caring experiences being feeding or diapering or supporting a child towards sleep. When those are pleasurable, infants are ready to explore. Infants, toddlers, children are ready to explore their environment with only minimal intervention by adults. So really here, I feel like she's saying when caregiving times is pleasurable for not only the child, but the adult too, then the child is ready to explore their environment, like you saw in that video, without intervention from adults. So they need adults less, because they've both been kind of refueled. Both you and the child has been refueled during the caregiving. Such an important time. I often think about it this way, that it's better to give 100% of your attention to a child, or to anyone of that matter, 50% of the time, than giving 50% of your attention to a child 100% of the time. Because otherwise they're always looking for that other 50%. And that's what happens then during play. They're needing you more and more and more because they're just wanting 100% of your time, just at least a little bit. And also when we care in this way where we're refueling during those caregiving times, it gives more time for the adult to do what the adult needs to do, whether it's in the classroom or the home. Children need diaper changes, like I said, to be pleasurable so you can both be refueled, and that it's a one-on-one time. But if this way of diapering is not something that is familiar to the child or to you, if this concept is new to you, changing it is not always that easy. It takes time. Because what we know currently, however diaper changes or change currently for your child or the children that you care for, is the way they know. So know if this way of diapering interests you, it will take time to rewire what the expectations are during diaper changes. Because even good change takes time. Our bodies don't like change, so we're going to fight it, whether it's good or not so good. So how could we enhance connection during caring? I've given you a lot of ideas. So let's see which ones we've talked about and which ones we still need to talk about. I love this picture of this connection between what I assume to be a mom and her child. The eyes are closed. They're both in a very vulnerable state. They don't care what's going on with the rest of the world, it seems. Steps to connection when caring. Talked about observation. Sportscasting. I don't know if this is a new term for you, but it's simply saying what you see, saying the facts. So that may be, I see that you're smiling, or I see that you're crying. It may be, oh, you've handed me a toy. I'm going to set it down right here. It's again simply saying what's in front of you. What we want to try to avoid is what's often or sometimes comes next with us adults do or say. Sometimes we want to fix it, right? We may say, I see you're crying. It'll be okay. Or what can I do for you? And children don't need, just like adults, don't really need us to fix it. At some point, they may need some assistance and some choices, but it feels so good when that sportscasting can happen for a child, and this works on adults too. Simply saying what you see, it allows children to be seen, and if you're doing this with adults, for adults to be seen, heard, and valued as well. Slowing down is also mentioned on here. Often when I'm working with programs, I talk about if you are giving a directive to a child to wait 30 seconds before maybe offering that directive again. Takes a little while, it may take a little while for a child to process, and they need the time to stop focusing on what they are currently doing in order to focus on what you're wanting them to focus on. So that slowing down is key. And then offering choices. We know, especially with our toddlers and on up, children want to have choices, whether it's do you want the blue cup or the red cup, or do you want the red apple or the red apple, right? Maybe the same color apple, but maybe they get to choose. And then, as you saw when I talked about in diaper changing, giving the child an opportunity to be an active participant in that dance of care. So that back and forth communication and connection. And then trust is also mentioned as well. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is if there are some things that you heard today or at any workshop that you want to bring back into your classroom or your home, how do you take it back? How do you share this work with others? So what I found is that these ideas here often work when you're wanting to bring things back. Teachers, whether it's teachers or co-parenting, transition is always easier when you have everyone on board. So, and I feel that getting to this place starts with giving everyone's voice and in what comes next. So some examples that are on here, what is role modeling? So role modeling what you want to see in the classroom, what you want to see in the home, right? I find when your co-teachers, your co-parent, if you are an administrator, your teachers, when they see what you're doing, is working, they are more likely to ask more. Also, a mentor of mine, Polly, taught me to care for the teacher the way we want them to care for the child. So when we care for a teacher with respect, with trust, when we give them permission to be vulnerable, when we allow them to take their own healthy risk, and we begin caring for them again, how we want them to care for the child. Slowing down can happen in so many different ways. When I'm in an early childhood program, sometimes I see the administrator rushing around doing the many tasks that they have to do on a given day. And sometimes that has to happen, but if you can try to enter a classroom slowly, slow down your words, slow down your actions, that is the environment that you create for that teacher, so that environment can also then be created for the child. Trust, I keep bringing up trust. Again, that's key. We all have to feel trust in order to take risks and be vulnerable and try something new. Giving teachers choices and then allowing them to be an active participant in their program. For some programs I'm working with now, we're working on a lot of policy changes, for example. In order for those policy changes to really go in place and stick, I believe the teachers need to know about them ahead of time and also be able to use their voice in those changes. Not saying the policy is going to change, but maybe they have some ideas that you haven't thought of. And when we allow staff, when we allow the people around us to have some voice in the situations, they're more likely to abide. All right. Well, I am finishing up my presentation for today. I want to leave you with a quote and a few last thoughts. One more Magda Gerber quote for you today. I think her voice and what she did for early childhood is so important, that she can teach us so many lessons. But one quote that those that study her know fairly well is, "Do less, observe more, and enjoy most." So when thinking about doing less, sitting back and taking in what's in front of you, right? Also, we can do less when we allow children to do more on their own in a safe space. Also, it allows for observation of the child. And then hopefully comes more joy, making sure that you're enjoying the caring you're giving in the classroom or the caring that you're giving in your home. So important. When we connect and observe and wait and involve the children in their own care, I believe we begin to see children differently while also supporting the child. Sounds so easy, but of course it does take some work as well. I do want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to join me so I could share this work for you. And so now I want to turn it over to Larissa so she can open up the conversation for some questions.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Shannon. That was really informative, and we've got lots of good questions coming through. So if you have any questions for Shannon, we have about just a little bit less than 15 minutes. So send them on through, and everybody's saying thank you so much right now. So everybody's very appreciative of your presentation. Let's see. Let's start with some questions. So a lot of people were saying the slow down idea is awesome. However, especially for parents or within somebody said it's hard for parents, but it's also really hard within a classroom when you've got so much going on. Can you give some tips or tricks on how to do that?
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. You're right. This stuff is not easy. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but you're right. It can be hard. And I think, sometimes we can't slow down. Sometimes things have to happen faster. And so I think when that is the case, making sure that you let the child know, hey, we're going to do it fast this time because we need to do X, Y, Z, or I think that is okay, but I think we have to bring the child along with us and let them know what's going on. Otherwise, what message are we sending them? And I truly don't. I see the child as the human being that has value and has purpose, and I don't want them to just be simply an object that I have to move around the room to get a task done. So I think it takes a lot of time. It also takes teamwork, especially in the classroom. If you decide to slow down the diaper change and your co-teacher has no idea what you're doing, you're going to have a frustrated co-teacher, right? Because she's like, hurry it up, we got to get to lunch or we got to get to nap. But if there's conversation that happens beforehand, and I've seen this work, I know it can work, but it just does take really a team approach of having everybody on board in that situation. And that's the same in the home as well. I'm a parent. I have 2 children myself. It's not always, we can't always go slow. Sometimes we have appointments to get to and things we have to get to at a certain time. So in those times, I have to let my children, who are now older, that, this is a time we have to get there at a certain time. So I'm going to pick you up and we're going to go faster today. But maybe when we leave, then you can get in the car seat on your own because we'll have a little bit more time. I don't know if that helps, but it does really take a process and really slowing the mind down as well. I think
sounds like it takes practice too.
It does. And I think I think slowing down can also be a gift that we give ourselves. We process a little better. We make decisions a little clearer when we're also able to slow down.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of questions about your potty training comment, especially in the beginning when you're saying that they were getting like an M&M for going to the potty.
Yeah.
So few things. People are saying, what about the kids who aren't motivated to do the potty training? How do you motivate them? Somebody said, are you saying that we shouldn't celebrate trying to go to potty and successful attempts with rewards? And yes, lots of people are just saying, so what do I do with these kids?
What do I do with toilet learning? Yeah. Such a good question. And we could have a whole 2-hour talk on potty training. So it's hard, I have to say, without knowing a specific situation with a specific child, what really would be the best case scenario. And we are also in a society where we're used to rewards. We reward ourselves. We were probably rewarded in school. So it is hard to look at things differently when that's what can sometimes fill us up as well. So I do get that. I think with toilet learning, waiting till the child is ready often is what works. If we're pushing a child to go when they're not ready, we often have more, it's often harder to get there. Now, I know one of the questions was, what if someone's really not motivated? They would have to be honest, be an individual conversation of, why is the adult feeling the child is ready at the moment? So what are those, what kind of things is happening around toileting thus far? What is happening in the diaper? What are the things the child is seeing? Where is the child at developmentally? So many pieces around that. So that's unfortunately, it's a really hard one to answer. I will say I've seen so many successes of children pottying without the rewards. And it doesn't mean that we can't celebrate that they're pottying, but it also depends on what's going on with each family. So you get to really do what's comfortable with you and where you're at on that rewards and not rewards system. But I would often say less is more. And the child will often feel their own internal celebration when they've done it as well. So.
Okay. So we saw a lot of people saying, when you asked for how do people connect with each other, a lot of people were saying hugs. So what about the children who want to give you a hug during this time of the pandemic?
So someone is asking whether hugs can happen in this time of the pandemic?
Yeah, they're just saying, how do you handle it when a child wants to hug you?
Yeah, that is a hard one. I mean, if it's, I will say for me and my own children, right, I can do that, but that may be different in a classroom. I would go with, what the recommendations are right now with the CDC. Did I get those letters right?
Yes.
And, often, having a conversation with the child. Again, I don't know, what the situations are in the classrooms right now. I'm not in the classroom, at this moment during this pandemic. So I don't want to go against what is recommended right now. But I think a simple conversation with the child, no matter the age, if they're a toddler, you may say, I want to hug you too. Right now, maybe we can do an air high five or something, but really following the recommendations of the CDC.
Okay, fantastic, because a few people asked about that, so that's good.
I would love to give them a hug too. That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. We've had that question come up in numerous webinars, and it's something that people are really concerned about right now.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, somebody wants to know, at what age do you start the kids on a routine? Maybe for sleep or for eating or?
Yeah, I think, age is hard to come by. I think infants, naturally, when will start creating their own routine. Sometimes it's just hard to see. It takes a lot of observation and time. But then children do naturally get on sometimes our routine as well. So I don't know if there's I think routine starts in infancy. Routine starts in, we get up, we have a diaper change, we may eat, may not be in that exact order, but something like that, right? That is we are starting routine in infancy when their diaper needs to be changed. We change it when they're hungry, we feed them. And that is for their infant life, a lot of the routine until play comes in. And then that is routine. From there, it just grows and we may be adding other items into the routine. So I think routine starts when a child is born. There's things that are happening, the children are doing in utero as well, that is kind of creating their own rhythm of routine. And then I know routine is also happening in the classrooms as well, right? We go outside at a certain time, we come in at a certain time, and sometimes we stay out longer when the day is really nice. So if routine is changing, again, simply communicating to children when that happens as well.
Okay, fantastic. So somebody was wondering, how do you help parents relate more to their children at this age?
For me, what I often do is role model. I role model what I see is happening. I role model my how I connect with the child. So sometimes by them seeing me connect, it allows them to try to connect in that way. I may share observations of the child that I see, in classes that I'm facilitating or when I'm with a family, right? I may share, I just saw, him do. I mean, it depends on what the situation is, right? But I think by role modeling and by I used the word sportscasting earlier in this session, but just saying what I see without judgment. And I can also be curious, right? I wonder if what would happen if you let him try to put on his own shoe today. I wonder what would happen, right? Or I may say to the child, I wonder what would happen if you just try to put one toe in the shoe today. So that may be me role modeling and supporting a parent in supporting their own child's independence, right? So giving them some tips on how to kind of build that that connection, that being with, so then the parents can be able to connect with children differently. I hope that's helpful.
Sure, absolutely. And actually, I think that was about the last question we had time for, because we do have a few announcements at the end. So thank you so much, Shannon, on behalf of the Council for Professional Recognition. We really appreciate you being with us and giving us your time and your expertise today.
Thank you so very much, Larissa, and thank you everyone for coming on today.